Yo, what is going on, guys? I'm just reading this article. Miss Amy Horton has a ton of articles about dating, and a lot of the things that she's talking about is basically the modern woman, and she's basically is toxic for women, bro. She gives women dating advice, and she really should not be. Let's see what Miss Horton is talking about. So she says, I'm not sure where my mistrust of men originated, but it's there whether I like it or not. I constantly try to change my frame of mind. Unfortunately, that's not an easy task. My paranoia and anxiety regarding my romantic relationships end up doing them to fail. So she says she's not sure where her mistrust originated. It originated from all the men she's dated in the past that has hurt her. So she has this built up thinking. And she said it's there whether she likes it or not. So that means she's always reverting back to the past and what has happened to her. So that means she hasn't healed, hasn't gone to therapy. And then she said, I consistently try to change my frame of mind. So that means the voices in her head are basically telling her one thing, but she knows really what the reality is. And then she says, unfortunately, it's not an easy task. So basically, she can't do it. So it always is there. So she's basically saying that she cannot trust men no matter what. She's always going to be like that. And she says, my paranoia and anxiety regarding my romantic relationships end up dooming her to fail, dooming them to fail. So that means all her relationships fail all the time, and she dooms them. So basically, she's just telling us everything right now. She's giving us the playbook to why she screws up. And she doesn't know it, but she's saying it right there. So, number one, I get insecure when I catch feelings. Uh, why would you be insecure? That just doesn't make sense. If anything, you should be secure if you catch feelings. And then she says, it's all well and good until I began to really care for a guy. What do you mean it's all well and good until you care for them? So does that mean you go crazy after you fall for them? Then all my fears sit in hardcore, and then the voices in my head begin whispering. So that's kind of weird. So she basically has to tell herself these things, but she actually knows what the truth of the matter is. And then she says, it doesn't matter how little cause my man gives me to mistrust him, I am terrified that I'll get hurt. So basically, she's saying here that she could be with a good guy who doesn't cheat, who treats her well, but in her mind, she's gonna just basically doom it and basically say that he's doing something that he's not, even though he's not. So this girl is a train wreck right now. So number two, she says, I secretly believe that all men have the inclination to cheat. Well, she's not wrong when she says that, but for for men and women, it's just different. She said, I understand that this isn't fair, and I try to change my perspective. So she knows what she's saying is not fair, and she tries to, but cannot change her perspective. So that means she's always going to be thinking like that. Feeling this jaded about relationships is not my first choice. So she's just saying right there that she's jaded. So you never want to be on a date with a woman who's jaded. She's basically just saying it. I don't want to think of I don't want to think poorly of men, so she's basically saying she thinks poorly of men. So if you have a poor disposition of men, the date's gonna come out bad because men we feed off of that. We read that. If you have a disposition that isn't uh, accommodating, we're gonna sense that, and that's gonna fail. Like you can't just have this unkind disposition and expect anything to happen. And then she says, but I've seen very little to change my mind to the contrary. So that means she's been on a crap ton of dates and probably been plowed a bunch of times. And it's the same thing. That's basically what it means. She chooses the same type of guy and goes through the same process, doesn't heal. If you're not going to heal, you're going to have the same problems. You're going to meet the same type of person because you're not getting to the root issue. Now she says, number three, the best dating relationship advice on the web. Yeah, let's probably say that's wrong. Women cannot give dating advice. They have no idea what it takes to take. They don't know what it takes to get a woman because they don't have to get a woman. They don't have to do anything. They just have to sit there and the men do all the work. So they literally have no idea actually do this. But she says, if you're reading this, check out Relationship Hero. I wouldn't advise that. A site where highly trained relationship coaches get your situation and help you accomplish what you want. I wouldn't go by that because she's obviously been there and she's talking about all these issues that she still has. So I don't think that that would be a good site to go to. It's probably a lot of jargon and things that actually will not help you. And then she says they help you through complicated and difficult love situations like deciphering mixed signals and getting over a breakup. How do they help you decipher over mixed signals, and how does that even help you? And then getting over a breakup, how would they help you getting over a breakup? That's what I want to know. The only way you get over a breakup is with time. That's the only way. And then she says, or anything else you're worried about. So what are they? Just your shrink, or are they a dating coach? Because that doesn't really sound like a dating coach. That's not what dating coaches do. And then she says you immediately connect with an awesome coach on a text over a phone in minutes. So like, yeah, texting with a coach is never good. You'd always want to be connected voice to voice, because texting can be misinterpreted, and you just never know with something like that. Number 4, she says, I worry that guys aren't honest with me. Of course they're not. Guys can't be honest with women these days. Usually if you're honest with a woman, you're hit with misogyny. Oh, you hate women. Oh, or you get canceled. So yeah, men can't be honest to women because of what the world has become. Women are just coddled. If you say anything that resembles the truth, they just don't want to hear it. They just want to be lied to. Again, I should try to keep the faith until someone actually breaks my trust. So she's basically saying she should try to, but she doesn't and won't. Even when a man is straightforward, I am afraid that he'll do anything if he thinks he can get away with it. So basically, I'm gonna say what a lot of women like to say. She's projecting. So she's basically the one that does that. You can tell that she's probably the one that is sleeping around, and she thinks that someone else is gonna do it. Because how can you like be so mistrusted by someone that is fully straightforward with you and honest with you? It just doesn't make sense. She says, I know trust is the cornerstone of a good relationship, but I'm probably screwed. She's actually wrong. Trust is not the cornerstone of a relationship. You should never trust your woman, because women are women. If they get attracted to someone, they'll react impulsively. So like trust, like no, you should never trust your woman to go to a fucking a trip by herself, go to the club, or go out with her girls. Like, no, don't trust your girl. You better keep that in line, or you're gonna lose her. Period. Here we go. Number 5. I have spells of intense paranoia where I convince myself that I am being cheated on. So she's basically just putting it in her head. So like she's very unhealthy. This is never the guy's fault. We know it's your fault, Miss Horton. Sometimes it's driven by hormonal changes. No, it's not. It's just you. Sometimes I'm feeling just insecure or vulnerable. Sometimes, it seems like all the time, every sentence she's saying she's insecure. Regardless, it's not fair to him or good for my mental health. I make myself crazy. So basically, she's just saying that she is just unhealthy for anyone to be dating. Like, no one should be dating Miss Horton. Miss Horton shouldn't be dating anyone. She needs therapy, possibly psychotherapy. Because literally, if she doesn't, none of her relationships are going to work. She has all these issues that she's not working on. 7. I have to hold myself back from revealing my crazy thoughts. I think that's self-explanatory. If you have to hold yourself back from revealing your crazy thoughts, you got some issues. It's a necessary constraint. Only if you're crazy, some things just shouldn't be brought out to the open. Only if they're crazy things. Most things should be brought to the open unless you're embarrassed about it or ashamed about it. I know that my paranoia will eventually pass. It's not paranoia. It's things in the past that she's done that she doesn't want to reveal. That's all that is. And that there's no point in creating conflict because of it. So yeah. So basically she's saying like she's done stuff in the past and she doesn't want to talk about it because it will bring conflict. Still, it puts a strain on my interactions with my partner, and I'm good at hiding feelings. So she's basically saying that she just hides everything and she's good at it. And she puts a strain on her interactions with whoever she's with. That's not healthy. That's not someone I'm. The more I read this, the more I realize why she's single. But she just has a myriad of issues that she's not working on. Number 8, I am always actively talking myself out of fears. Uh, okay. I know that the guys I date would feel terrible if they knew I feel this way. I also know that my anxiety is usually unfounded. So she's just anxious for no reason, she's basically saying. This makes me frustrated, but those nagging voices in my head keep at it again. I just don't trust men. So just leave men alone. Like, the best thing I can tell her is go get a therapist, go figure out what these voices in your head are about, and leave men alone. At least seriously. Because, like, right now, she doesn't have the mental capacity to even be with a man of quality at all. She would just be a freaking problem. She would be what's the word I'm really looking for? Uh, she wouldn't be a solution. She would be a liability. That's the word. Because you'd have to deal with all these psychological issues, mental issues, and she probably has physical issues too from men in the past. So she says. Number 9, I sabotage and start fights because of my insecurities. So you don't want to be with a woman that starts fights and sabotages things. So she's basically just giving us her playbook. I try my best to keep my feelings to myself, but that does not always work. I act strangely and fight with men about other things in my attempts to hide what feels like craziness. So basically, it's really her fault. The men are doing great, and she just makes up some BS to fight about and basically ends the relationship all the time. It's all a giant mess. No, you're a giant mess, Miss Horton. You're basically bringing these men in your life who seem to be good men, as you say, and you just sabotage and waste their time. Like, that is completely not cool. And then you want to make an article about it, talking about, like, oh, it's men's fault. No, this is your issue, Miss Horton. You need to get help. And you're just thinking you can do it by yourself. Just like a lot of women, they think they can fix themselves. They're accredited to fix themselves, as if you're some type of online therapist or something. I have no idea. And she says it too. Number 10, I have no idea where this mistrust comes from, but it's stubborn as F. No, you're stubborn as F. And you do know where the mistrust comes from. It comes from the men who have cheated on you in the past, and you're just paranoid that it's going to keep happening again. She says, it does not seem to matter what type of guy I date. I always fear the worst. As far as I know, I've never even been cheated on before. So that's a red flag right there. So as far as she knows, she doesn't even know that she's been cheated on, but she just assumes and just puts it in her head and puts it out there. And she wonders why her relationships don't work. Perhaps it stems from all the awful things I've seen happen to my friends. Like, what? So you've seen things happen to your friends? And even so, see, fear, scarcity, and lack. You can't get anywhere with this kind of thinking. She has this fear, scarcity, and lack thinking. You have that kind of thinking, you're going to fail at whatever you do, relationships, your job, a house, money, anything. If you have that kind of thinking, you're going to fail. Either way, it doesn't seem to be going anywhere. Yeah, because you're not doing it in anything to help your problems. You're just trying to do it yourself, Miss Horton. That's not how life works. We all need a little help sometimes, especially when it comes to our mental. No one, unless you're accredited and you went to school for it, no one is capable of fixing themselves. Period. Alright, number 11. I literally don't believe that a man can stay faithful long term. She literally keeps going back on this. Like, this isn't her problem. This isn't a guy problem. She goes, of course, I know that there are men out there who have never cheated on their partners. I guess I don't believe that anyone will stay faithful to me. So she's basically saying that she knows she's not good enough. Like, why would you even say that? Like, So she's basically just minimizing herself for whatever reason and saying that she doesn't believe that anyone will be faithful to her, even though it's never happened before, which speaks to a deep-seated insecurity inside of me. Yeah, because you're not getting help, Miss Horton, to fix your issues inside of you. You have these issues, you're putting it out on the internet, you're telling us, but you're not telling the right people. You need to tell this to a therapist who can actually help you, not a bunch of people who are going to read about it and just dissect you. She goes, I don't feel worthy. I also don't even want a guy to make a fool of me. So she knows she's not worthy of a guy. And she just doesn't want to give a guy the opportunity to make a fool of her because she knows it's going to happen. Once you are like this, it's going to happen. If you have this kind of personality, this kind of thinking, this negative thinking, negative things are going to happen to you. Like, I'm not big on manifesting, but I'm big on positive and negative thinking and how it affects you and your world. Number 12, I see issues that really do not exist. Honestly, I hate it. Every time a guy checks his phone, I think he's talking to another girl. So she just has some deep-rooted issues, and has a lot to do with control. Like, she wants to control the man and make sure that he's all hers. But what is the man getting? He would be getting a whole bunch of psychological issues and fighting and mistrust and sabotage. This is not a good partner for any man to be with at all. I worry about dropping in unannounced in case I catch him with someone else. Why? That's literally absurd. It's inappropriate and it's out of bounds. Like, you should never be dropping in on unannounced on anyone. That's just craziness. Like, why are you trying to do this? That's literally self-sabotaging. So she's literally trying to catch him in the act of cheating and saying, I've never done this. Oh, I've never been cheated on, not that I know of, but you're looking for it. You're like, no, you gotta stay away from women like this. Women like this will leave you miserable and sabotaged, as she says herself. She's literally giving us her playbook. If he mentions any woman, I desperately try to act cool and unaffected. Yes, this sounds insane, but it's the truth. But it's called competition anxiety. And she's basically giving it to herself, even though he hasn't even said he's talking to a girl. It could be his sister, for crying out loud, and she would still get competition anxiety. This woman's got a lot of issues, man. Very, very insecure. All right, let's see here. 13. I date the sweetest guys in the world and still doubt them. Like, what? So she just goes on all these dates. She's sleeping with all these guys. It's just like crazy. This is what happens though. When you sleep with all these guys and you have all these dates, all these energies inside of you coming at you, this is what happens. You can't decipher it all. You can't manage it all. You have no one to help you vet. You're trying to vet all these men by yourself based on your feelings. Like, that's awful. Like, you're just gonna, it's basically lust. You're lusting. You see a guy, oh, he's so hot, and you're going based on his looks. It's never gonna end well. It's not like I go around dating jerks, she says. I genuinely like nice dudes. And how many of you people believe that for 1 second? Do you actually believe that she goes out and finds the good guy, or does she date the bad boy with the tats and, does the drugs and treats her like crap? What do you guys think? Do you think she actually really gives the good guys a good chance, or not? So this means it's even more baffling as to why I always assume they're going to run around on me. The poor guys don't stand a chance. The poor guy, excuse me. Oh, she's saying the poor guys do not stand a chance, no matter how sweet and faithful and devoted they are. So that just shows you she doesn't want a good guy. Good guys, most women don't want a good guy. And that's what happens to the good guys. They don't stand a chance. They want a bad guy. That's where the phrase alpha seed, beta need comes from. Or alpha fucks, beta bucks. However you want to say it. That's where that phrase comes from. The good guys always finish last. That's just what it is. And lastly, number 14, I am tired of always feeling scared, but I'm not sure how to change it. I hate the fact that I can't make myself trust any man. It's not enjoyable. I don't want to live in constant terror that my heart is going to be pulverized. I hope someday I can fix the problem, but for now I do the best I can to control my anxiety. So, in other words, she is doing it all by herself. She has no therapist, she has no support system. She's just hoping that one day she's just gonna wake up and, oh, I'm gonna trust guys. You guys are gonna just trust me and everything's gonna be nice. Sorry to break it to you, Miss Horton, but that is not how life works. Please, please do us a favor. Get yourself some therapy. And also, please, leave men alone.